Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew in a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Special thanks to Peter Slight and Campland for the new theme song, The Joe. You can find that wherever you download music. And thanks for Peter for writing that especially for this podcast, The Weekly Joe. We're back. The summer version of The Weekly Joe is kind of the monthly Joe, if you want to think of it that way. I'm Paul Graham. I'm your host. We have Dr. Meghan Dennis, Roger Myers, Drew Campland, Griffen Smith, all the regulars here tonight, ready to talk about a busy offseason of Alabama baseball, college baseball in general, SEC draft. We'll touch on a little bit of everything. We've got a big action-packed show tonight. And if you've kind of fallen off the radar, losing track of things going on in the portal, with the draft, what the roster is going to look like for the fall, what these new rules are that we're going to talk about, which are big changes, earth-shattering changes for college baseball. We're going to get into all those tonight and hopefully entertain you a little bit. Like I said, I got a regular panel here, and we're ready to go. Everybody having a good summer?
Yes.
All good. Hopefully all our guys have a lot of the guys are back from those summer assignments. We had a lot of guys off in leagues all around the country. If you were still going at it, kind of surprisingly, I think a lot of our guys are back in town, getting ready with the second session of summer school, and hopefully gearing up, hitting the weight room, getting the bodies ready and getting ready for the fall season, which will be here before we know it. It's August. It's July 30th, so we're August 1. You always think of kind of opening a fall camp for football. Not much longer after that do you get into baseball, and we'll talk a lot about who we have coming in. First thing tonight, I guess the last time we visited was after the knockout round for us. Anyway, the first round of the regionals, and the team went in separate ways. A lot of guys out in the portal, a lot of guys in the portal. A lot of guys in the draft, a lot expected, and then a few surprises. We'll talk about all those, but in the portal, first off tonight, what did we talk about before? What was our biggest needs going in the summer? I mean, there was 3 or 4. What do y'all remember?
Defense.
Yep, defense.
Defensive arms in the outfield for sure.
Yep. Maybe a little speed. I think I kind of feel like watching who Alabama is in relation to the rest of this league, and probably not going to be the team that stacks up the guys that are going to pound out 100+ home runs every year. That Coach Vaughn and staff know that this has got to be a team with a little bit of a hook, right? You got to have almost a gimmick. I feel like they want to be a more aggressive base running team. I feel like they want to have more speed. Obviously, the roster wasn't constructed that way going into this year, and I think we've done some things in the summer that probably have helped with that. Guys, of people, we'll talk about all of them, but for you all, who do you think our biggest, probably most important portal addition is, whether it be a pitcher or a fielder? Roger, go first. What are your thoughts on that one?
Richard Bonamolo.
Yep. Outfielder, junior college, played at Wabash Community College. Speed guy. Really, you and I thought, a lot of us thought, I think, that he might go in the draft and probably, and I think as you're seeing now, when with 20 rounds of the draft, guys that get picked are typically signing. You're not seeing too many kind of falling off and coming back. So good point. Where are you projecting? What position?
Center field.
Mm-hmm.
2 years of junior college, he was 106 for 110 in stolen bases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Staff has said he plays elite defense. So
yeah.
He can do, if he can play elite defense and get on base, I think that's kind of a given, is something that we really need.
Center field.
From people, more stolen bases and
Yeah.
defense, and cover the ground in the outfield.
Right. Meghan, who you looking forward to from the portal as your highlight from the summer?
I'm gonna be honest and keep the approach I've kept every summer of like until fall when I have a chance to learn them. I don't know who's coming in. They're all just names on a list to me. So I'll be honest, I don't have a strong opinion at the moment.
Okay. All right. Drew, how about you? Any player comps or anybody like that?
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of the list, I want to go along with what Meghan said. I'd probably go there, but we need to talk about these guys because I was looking on Tider Insider, and the internet user Shane Gillis had a list of players, and there's like 49 or 50 of them. So, this is including the signees. But I think the one I like, if the guy from Miami, the name
Jason Torres.
Jason Torres, if his name, if he is, they talked about his exit velo, and he's a prospect, so he's got a chance to get drafted after this year. If he is a good defensive first baseman, we really needed that, and we need good, we needed a strong, defense in the outfield. Roger mentioned Bonamolo, Bryce Fowler from junior college. Did I get that name right?
Pearl River. Yep.
Yeah, Pearl.
Yep.
So he was a guy who was going to go to Campbell, and then they had the coaching change, and we get him. So maybe he's an outfield starter. And then the catcher, I think on the last podcast I mentioned we needed a catcher, so to compete with what we have coming back, because those guys didn't play a lot last year. We get that with Brady Neal from LSU, and then I'll let you and Griffen round out the list of some. Maybe he's got some other guys.
Griffen, who you give me a pitcher you like out of this deal. We've talked a lot about the fielding guys. What do you think of the pitching?
Out of the guys we've seen, I think Carson Osmer. I mean, a lot of guys will just go straight to his numbers and say that he doesn't have anything to throw with. I don't think that's the case. I think it's this is probably the same with Aiden. I don't want to Finneriti, if I'm not hopefully butchering his last name. I hope I'm not disrespecting the Finneriti family, but I think they both got potential to really make a case for potentially a weekend starter, if not throw some high leverage innings in the SEC. I think definitely in the infield, guy that we've seen before, Garrett Stanton. Him and Jason Torres, if they are both sitting on either one of the corners. I think last year, I know if Hunter was on here, you'd say that there was a lot to be desired at first base at times. So those guys would probably, I think they're going to find a good home there for sure.
Yeah. Garrett Stanton was at not Stanford, Samford, down the road from me here. Osmer from Penn, and Finneriti, is Finneriti, did I say it right? From Georgia Tech. Guy who put in a lot of innings. As you go down the list, I mean, guys we didn't mention, we have Packy Bradley Cooney. So probably going to have a hard time fitting all those names, letters on the back of a jersey. Good thing we don't, do that on our jerseys. Coming in from Campbell, grad guy. He's actually 24 years old already. So a little bit, from the Tommy Seidel field. Big right-handed pitcher. You mentioned Osmer coming out of Penn. He's a grad transfer. Staten is Richard Senior out of Samford. Next, Brennan Norton, another one we didn't mention, at Jack State, a middle infielder, possibly a candidate at second base, originally from Coleman. JT Blackwood, a JUCO guy out of Coleman. Another guy, junior, right-handed pitcher. Let's see, I lost my spot. I'm sorry about that. You mentioned Bonamolo. Bo Bryans is one that we've seen actually having a pretty good summer in his summer leagues. He's another JUCO guy who is coming from Jones County in Mississippi. A lot of good JUCO programs in Mississippi, as you know. A lot of guys go over there to get their reps in before they move on to a place like in Alabama. And then Torres, of course, out of Miami. And then Brady Neal. I think I hit on most of those. Not a bad transfer portal haul. I mean, they're obviously the LSUs and some of those teams of the world that are throwing around a lot more NIL money than we are going to get a bigger haul. But I feel like a pretty solid haul. I mean, if you look at maybe who departed, versus who you're bringing in. And like Megan said, the proof's going to be kind of in the pudding when you see them. It feels like we've filled in where we had needs, and I'm with Roger. I think Bonamolo's just getting Bonamolo to campus to me was probably like the top recruiting that we did all year. But getting him to campus and not having him go late in the draft and sign somewhere and move on is a big deal for us, because we did have to shore up the defense. We did have to go a little speed. And we certainly have added some arms, so we've got some options out there. Anything you feel we just missed on? What do we, a hole we needed to plug? I mean, go ahead.
Of course, guys wanted us to get like Prager from A&M, or
yeah,
maybe get Luke back or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a frontline starting pitcher, which obviously are going to be the most expensive
right.
players. But I think they filled the needs, and barring no setback from Riley, Hagan, and those guys, should be good. I think Bryce Fowler was kind of a security blanket for Bonamolo.
Bonamolo, yeah. Another speed guy, right?
Really have a center fielder, on the roster if Richie had gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, in looking at the, writing the names down and looking at them, you're looking at probably 5 starters.
Yeah. Right. Which is good, because you lost. I mean, you're bringing back maybe 2 of our 8 everyday guys, maybe in the
Honey and Hodo, and then Snell DH majority.
Right. Right.
Everybody else is gone. So.
Yeah, that's right. Those are the positives on the going out. And I can't remember the last show we did if we covered any of these. Of course, AD goes to Georgia. Mason Swinney goes to DBU. Evan Hager, a guy the staff really liked and really wanted to keep, goes to Houston. Parker Pico goes to where did Parker go? I'm sorry, I lost.
Michigan State.
Michigan State,
right.
yeah.
Yep, Michigan State. Jackson Baker to USC, the second guy we've had go to USC in the last few years. And I mean, there are others that have moved on. The biggest Hayslip is has Hayslip announced, by the way? I don't want to say where he's going. Okay, I don't know if it's public.
I don't see it on D1 Baseball's tracker, so
okay.
He hadn't posted anything officially.
All right, good. He's hitting the ball well out on the West Coast with the I can't remember the name of the town he's playing. It's the Prune Packers, though. That team,
Heidelberg or something.
Heidelberg, yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it's you had some of the losses you kind of expected. Guys have been there a couple of years and aren't in the everyday lineup, or see guys coming in. Good opportunities for these guys. So while we had some losses, I mean you're slotting guys in that I think are equal or better in most of those spots. AD maybe being the exception, because it's not a proven closer that you can kind of depend on in this class. So I think a net positive for us. I think the portal has generally been a net positive for us in the last few years. What say you? Where except aside from the big names that have gone on to other programs, I think our approach in bringing guys in that are adequate or more than adequate and kind of meet the needs. I think we're meeting our needs. You disappointed in it at all?
No, I mean, don't really. I don't necessarily like the way it goes. I mean,
right.
Overall, like you said, a net positive. Despite,
I don't think we've gotten by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've gotten by any means, SEC Player of the Years, but we've gotten a Gage Miller who's been,
right.
key contributor. We've gotten pitchers like we did last year with Pierce and Greg that were able to eat up a lot of really quality innings. And TJ was a beast in center field, and he showed more of his All-American self from his freshman year. So I think it's been a positive. But when people are waving money at our guys to go elsewhere, then at the moment there's nothing I think we can compete with it, at least at that vantage point. So
Drew, you had a take on this?
Yeah, I think we basically need to kind of when you look at the teams, I mean, we're not just going to just throw whatever like Texas A&M or Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU are throwing at these teams. We kind of need to build our roster. Hate to say it, but more like Kentucky, you know, just get those grinders, and you want to have one or two guys who have a year like Gage Miller did, or like was it Ryan? It was either Waldschmidt or Nicholson, whichever one of those guys got. Yeah, the one of them got drafted high, and just play solid defense. And I think next year, you know, hopefully we'll steal more bases. I think we stole a lot of bases in that first weekend series, and we really weren't that aggressive after that. So have to build around that, you know, have to pitch and just play defense. And you know, it's not like basketball where you can really, you kind of know who's going to be really good, which hopefully will be Alabama next year. Baseball, there's a little bit more of an equalizer in there just because of pitching, defense, and all that.
Right. Injury impact in baseball
strategy
too.
You know, it's such a long game too.
You mentioned our speed last year. I mean, it really we were like in awe in the early season games, just how aggressive we were on the bases, stealing bases, taking extra bases, and then it seemed like we did kind of get away from that when I think the guys probably realized this might not be the group to do that with. But you know, in the back of the mind that I think that's going to be what we're going to try to build around, because like you said, we do need to build like a Kentucky. We need to have a little bit of a gimmick, you know, not a, you know, you can't Vanderbilt or, you know, South Carolina can't necessarily line up with everybody in the SEC and football with, you know, stack a defensive line and have a, you know, bunch of NFL guys on the OL and run the ball at everybody like Georgia can, you know, or Alabama can. So I mean, it's a little bit of a different animal for us. A good draft. I mean, I was real pleased for our guys in the draft. We had a lot of guys go. Some guys went for you know, pretty strong money on the front end. Saw some guys get taken on the back end that you know, maybe you know, you might not have. I mean, the Pierce George thing, for instance. I mean, there's a guy that we probably could have used this year. You kind of feel like another year in your system, and maybe could have been a more consistent guy, and you could have made him your closer, your setup guy. Well, he throws 100 or 101 miles an hour. Pro scouts are going to notice him. Well, they don't care where it goes. they're going to notice him. So, you know, he gets picked late in the 13th round and signs for, you know, a couple hundred. The highlight, obviously, well, two highlights, I guess. Ben Hess, good for Ben, big hand for Ben. To the Yanks in the first round, $2.75 million to sign. Guys' memories of Hess, and just, I mean, to me, it's that second half of this past season. Meghan, what's your favorite Ben moment?
The SEC tournament game, his freshman year, where it's just like, where did this kid come from?
Against Georgia, right? Yeah. Was it Georgia? Yeah.
LSU this year.
Yeah.
And then you got to hand it to him for the Mississippi State.
Yeah. Right. He
didn't get the all important win because he didn't go 4 3/3 because he was. And Alex wasn't there to give him the win, you know, with less than 5 innings. Like he didn't show up, or he didn't come that week for some reason.
Yeah.
State did it the way the official rulings are. And I think Braylon ended up with whoever came in after him ended up with But to gut it out like he did there, and that was the start of him, his good streak.
Really was. Right. Really saved out. I mean, if you look back, you went 13-17 in the conference. That game might have saved our season because we were wiped. I mean, we were not going to win that game that day, right? I mean, there was no reason we were going to possibly win that game on the road with a bunch of guys, you know, in the shape they were in that day. Drew, Griff, any other thoughts on Hess?
I wish we could have had a healthy Hess last year.
Yeah.
We would have been even better, I think, than we were. But my thoughts on Hess was, you know, he had his moments where he really struggled, and he just looked like I don't know if he was tipping pitches or what, but he bounced back from that. I think that was really kind of the true measure of success for him. I don't know what his final ERA ended up. I don't even know if it got under 6, but he really scuffled for a time. He just kind of have those bad, like, he give up a home run and then give up 3 more, and just one of those.
Yeah.
But he had the bender working most of the year, and then man, just those last 6 weeks for him were incredible. And that game against, I believe it was Indiana, and that Roger and Griff were at, also an incredible game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be my takeaway is, he always gave max effort, and it sure sounded like he was out of gas by like the 4th inning, even if he was having a great outing, because he's got his tennis grown when he's pitching in the game at all. But he's really good upside. I think the Yankees got, obviously we're biased, but I think they got a great pitcher in Ben. So thrilled for him.
You don't have to share.
Oh yeah. No facial hair with the Yankee, probably the hair. You can't have a lot of flow going. I think when you look back on our season, you finished 13-17 in the conference. You look at that Mississippi State game, you look at that LSU game, you look at the Auburn game in that series. All these, 2 of those big road games. We didn't win a lot of games on the road. We didn't win a lot of series on the road. But I mean, the big games we had to win. You drop any one of those games, you might not even, you might not make a regional, despite all we did. Just the way the losses was stacked up. Second half of the season, I thought he was about as elite as any pitcher in the SEC. Sans, Hagen Smith maybe, or a couple of those guys, but he was right up there in that top 5 of the league, I think, in that second half. So great for Hess, great for the program. Signs for $2.75 million, a little under slot, but at that level, who cares? Gage Miller, 92nd pick in the draft. Who would have thought that from a guy playing at Bishop State a year ago, right?
Right, with no offers other than JUCO and D3 coming out of high school. So.
Yeah. He signs for slot around 800,000. Great for him. Greg Ferrone goes 79th. Is that right on there? 79th. No. I'm sorry. I got 7th round. I can't read my own writing to the Giants system. Signs for 204,000. Another guy, memories of Greg. I mean, chewed up a lot of innings for us. Was healthy all year. Just which is tough to do. That you got 14 weekends, and then he also threw in the SEC game. He threw in the regional. I mean, kind of a workhorse for us, right?
I think it kind of shows the value of those pitchers you can get out of the portal, that, it's good for us because obviously we need a pitcher to come in and contribute. Obviously it was great for him. He did work this year, he shot at the draft board, and, he got taken, and, gladly he signed. So
yeah.
It shows the positive for both of us, I think.
Right.
So
yeah, to me, I hope we get similar like that out of Vinatieri, out of Georgia Tech. Another guy has pitched a lot of innings, pitched in a Power 5 or whatever they are now conference. In the ACC, Greg had done the same, and so hopefully that's when you start talking about slotting guys 1 for 1, right? If Vinatieri could come in and take Greg's spot, or kind of be like a Greg. If Garrett Staten could come in and kind of be like a Gage Miller or similar, you start making up the losses that you previously had from your previous team. The one I skipped over, 2nd round, Carter Johnson, signee out of Oxford. Of course, we'll be saying built by Bama forever. He goes $2.8 million to the Marlins. Obviously a guy we didn't expect to get to campus, but would have. He joins a pretty elite crowd, right? That has been in that position and is pulling out big money in pro baseball. A few names.
Yeah, I'm thinking of guys like obviously Bryce Eldridge from 2 years ago, I think. Go back a little further. CJ Abrams type of guy who was top 5, who just, again, these guys that we see on paper, we see all their clips on Twitter, and it's like, man, we're going to get them. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, there's no shot we're getting them. So he was gone before, the draft even started, in my opinion.
That's right.
I look at it also from a lot of guys that, obviously spent time at Alabama, or, your Luke Holmans, your Brandon Clarks, your Grant Nibs, all those guys that, had a successful careers elsewhere, and, they all pretty much turned pro except for Colby Shelton. So
Shelton was picked in the 20th round. I kind of thought, we talked a little bit about it. I thought maybe that was one of these deals where I can't remember who picked him, but maybe they were planning on having enough pool money coming down from the upper picks, and that they're going to throw enough at him to go. But he did announce just in the last couple of days he's coming back to Florida. You'll see a guy like that most years that kind of out of nowhere, the 16th round guy gets $2 million to sign. There was one you sent in the group text. I can't remember who it was. It was a high school kid. That was late rounds like that, but obviously didn't pan out. So may have just been one of those deals where a team's taking a flyer and then just hope they can pull something off.
He had his number that he didn't want to come off of, and
Right.
with another year of leverage, he
Right.
could do it. Going back on the phone, for him to get $200,000 in the 7th round as a senior was incredible.
It is something.
We saw those guys signing for $2,000, $2,500, a slot $652,000, $3,000.
Yeah. It was a weird year in that regard. I don't remember if I recall seeing as much of that.
I definitely felt like that was the case this year. So Colby got picked by the Nationals, and I don't know what their obviously draft strategy is, but he's returning back to campus. And then you alluded to there was a 10th rounder, Chase Mobley. He's signed with the Cleveland Guardians. His slot at $295 was only $183,000, and it jumped all the way up to $1.8 million. So clearly that there can be money that can get shifted around. I don't know.
Right. And that's why I kind of wondered if somebody was doing with Colby. You mentioned, again, Colby was a draft eligible sophomore. A lot of leverage in that regard for him. And then as you got a little bit further in, McCants goes to Chicago White Sox in the 16th round. Ian Petrux goes in the 12th to St. Louis. Signs for, I think I wrote $250K. I think that's right. And you sent earlier tonight, he's making his debut tonight, right?
Yeah, he was 1 for 2 with a walk. TJ got $75,000.
Yep, not bad haul for that level. Pierce George goes 13th. I think I mentioned before the White Sox for about $200K. Colby Jones, we mentioned it when we were talking about the transfers. He was a guy we really hoped to get to campus. Probably a guy you slot in day one at second base. He could play second, could play short. Obviously, short's covered in Alabama right now, but he goes in the 13th round, signs for $150. So kind of disappointing because right.
Yeah.
Norton replaced him. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
So I thought the staff did a really good job in that regard. And you mentioned it, like center field. You've got Fowler out there in the wings because you thought you might lose Bonamolo. You've got a guy ready to pull the trigger on the minute Colby Jones signs. I mean, they know this game, I guess, and it's there's a big pool of players out there, and you're taking chances on a lot of them. And you got to know a lot of guys and know a lot about a lot of guys and make a lot of relationships. But to
your point, I mean, I saw yesterday Danny Hines. He's another pitcher out of UPenn that got picked up, and Trenton Hodgson was another incoming transfer from USC Upstate. He got picked by the Reds. So it's, as everyone says, baseball is always such a small community that they're always constantly talking. So I figure that they realize a kid's going to turn pro, that, they can make a couple calls and figure out who else is out there, because it's obviously not a 1-for-1 relationship, but Alabama's a school that we can find a spot for guys if they're good enough.
Yep. You mentioned Hodgson, went 17th round to the Reds. A couple of free agents. Bryce Evelyn signs with the White Sox. Yep. Seems like the whole program went to the White Sox. So we're going to hopefully see a lot of those guys in Birmingham in a few years in AA. Mac Gassetti signs as a free agent with the Braves organization. Got engaged, by the way. Congratulations to Mac. I think we tweeted that or insted it as well. So a lot going on in these guys' lives. So a pretty big haul, and I will say this. Griff, I came across this, a minute ago when I was doing a little show prep here. You had tweeted out around the time of right after the draft. Here we go. This is on July 16th, so a couple weeks ago. I'm going to steal your thunder here. 2024 MLB draft is in the books. 6 players off the 24 roster were drafted this year. 8 additional players also listed. And so you're talking about they were guys that had committed, former players who transferred, like your Nips and your Lukes and your Clarks and guys like that, or incoming portal pickups. And you mentioned a couple of those. So all total, 14 guys affiliated, kind of built by Bama with the program, coming off the board in this draft. So a good draft. I think good publicity for the program. Shows you can come here and make it to the next level. And they were doing some things right. Any other thoughts on the draft or things you're kind of left hanging out there?
I was surprised to see Petrutz get picked as high as he did and get the bonus that he got. He hit the ball well for us, but I didn't think he was all that good of a left fielder. All things considered, not much of an arm. But if they fit, he got a hit, I think, in his first game tonight or last night. So great hitter. Maybe they feel like they can work on his defense, but good for him for being able to get what he got. I think it was 250, maybe 250.
Yeah, I think you sound right. Yep.
I was going to say for a couple of years ago, but Hunter Hoopsy Daisy on Instagram.
That's right.
Coach, he was throwing gas at a performance center and caught the eyes of the Twins organization, and I saw he was now an undrafted free agent. So congrats to Hunter.
The power of social media, right? You think about that. I mean, he's just out there. So probably goes viral because he's throwing I don't know what they clocked him out of 100 plus.
At 107.
107, yeah. Which I may need to calibrate that gun, but
several 101s, 102s as well.
Yeah.
Here, Megan, remember that one day, and he was pumping 99, 100. He struck out like 8 straight guys, and then he comes back in the spring, and he's like 91, 92.
Yep.
Arm issues here and there. So.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely a guy that you go out there you do a little stunt and you get seen. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get seen. We've seen a lot of people go viral on different hawk to a girl and whatnot. But Hunter did the same. But hopefully gets a long-term payoff on that as well. Going into the fall. All right, so here we go. We've got the list in front of us. I think I count, what did we say, 48, 49 guys on this list. A lot of newcomers. Let's talk a little bit about, because they get so little attention now, your incoming freshmen. Oh, we got freshmen coming out. Who brings in freshmen anymore, right? We got them. I can kind of pick them out of this list here because they just kind of blend in. But to remind you JoJo Williamson out of Hartselle, where we've also got got Mizell from Hartselle as well. JoJo's a middle or second baseman, third baseman, left-handed bat. Egan Lowry. Talk about that one a little bit, Roger. You kind of
he's pitching for Deacon Matters in the summer league here, the Tuscaloosa Collegiate Summer League. Played where the Viper cut the shot.
The Viper now with Detroit.
He played high school where the Viper did. Was also an infielder. Didn't pitch. And he came to school as a freshman last year on academic Viper again. He didn't play. He didn't play on the club team.
Club team. Yep.
Apparently, he kept his eyes open and decided to basically become a sidearm pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Deacon, he's second coming of the Viper. Nasty this summer for him, and says that that it looks like he's going to walk. The kid had Alabama baseball in his back. So Deacon said he was looking to be a walk-on. Things like change. I mean, I know it's next year, but they got to start thinking about paring down from 40 to 34, or how that's going to work. But there wouldn't be any reason to not let him try out this year for sure.
Yeah, the video of him and how he pitches, like you mentioned Chase Lee, the Viper, is as we know him. Chase had that sweeper. He had the run away from the right-handed batter. It looks a lot to me like Lowry's got more of that sink down into the back foot of a right-handed batter, which is probably more maddening because you're
Yeah, you're
it was
looking
there and now it isn't.
I hope Sean doesn't hear you call it a sweeper. Another one of his pet peeves.
But it is an intriguing thing. Again, you see a lot of these guys, the side armors or the submariners, they don't throw it real hard, and it's all about the movement and the movement down. And then you see guys like Chase who could fling it up there, mid-90s, and with a run on it. And then, this is kind of in between. So interesting to see. Sean Griggs, third baseman out of New Jersey, hotbed of Alabama recruiting.
Really good hitter.
Yeah.
Really good hitter.
Yeah. 6'2", 190 as a freshman. Maybe kind of guy can anchor down third base. Can he do it as a freshman?
He could, but I would imagine Staten will. But
Yeah.
Mix for sure.
Yeah, going to be tougher and tougher to break into SEC everyday lineups as a freshman. I think in that you can kind of see about the list of names we went down of guys that have gotten 300 and 400 at bats somewhere else, right? Jackson Hunter, right-handed pitcher, Hazel Green, a big, tall, kind of lanky guy. He's 6'3", 190. That's a little bit lanky. Another righty. Jack Ketchum, another righty, right-handed pitcher, West Point, Mississippi, Heritage Academy. Hodo Land, right?
I think he's got a chance to be somebody that can help this year.
Yeah. Let me get down the list. Oh, give me a right. Madugno. I'm going to say Madunga.
Andre,
yeah.
Madungo.
Madugno, right?
Is it Madunio? You think it's
Madunio?
Madunio?
All right. We're going to have to get this right.
That's
That's
kind of
that's my guess.
he might post some as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a really strong arm. He's in the 90s off the mound.
Yeah. Another big guy, 6'5", 205, Upper Saddle River, New Jersey. Again, like the whole university, they're all from New Jersey now. Big righty. And Peyton Steele, another guy from Hartselle. So we got, two coming in from Hartselle. One of the best 6A programs in the state, year in, year out. And then he'll be a speed guy in the outfield. Nash Wagner, righty. Another big guy, 6'5", 215. These are SEC bodies. They may not be filled out like an SEC body yet, but they got the frame. That's for sure. He's a right-handed pitcher out of Indiana. Good luck from we had Hess out of Indiana. Another good pick from there. John Young Jr., JYJ as we'll call him.
Our boy.
Yep, that's right. Second base. Probably a shortstop in high school. Probably would be more likely to break in at second for us. As long as Bronny's here. 6'1", 190, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Very highly acclaimed, very highly recruited, and looking forward to seeing him. All right, help me with this name again. Kuhn, is that how we say Cooney? Carson Cooney?
I think that works. I think it's as close as we're going to get.
Yeah, another 6'5" guy, left-handed pitcher out of Kentfield, California, who's been at IMG. And again, this is the list on the roster. Some of these guys have been publicly committed for a long time. We'll see who shows up because you never know with baseball, right? Ahmad Duff, smaller guy, 5'6", 155, another Indiana guy, outfielder. Anthony Pesci. We got a guy named Pesci, and he's not from New Jersey.
Right. Also an all-state football player.
Yeah. Okay. Pesci's from Orchard Lake, St. Mary's Prep in Michigan, Commerce Township, Michigan, 6'4", 195. Connor Lehman, a left-handed pitcher, 6'2", 200 from Tennessee, Stewart County. And finally, Ashton Alston. You got to say that one a few times fast. Big dude, big right-hander, 6'6", 210 from Gallatin, Tennessee. Christian community school. So, again, we go through all those names because a lot of you guys, listening for the first time or not that familiar with the program, you just don't get the same, you don't get the same publicity for the baseball recruits out of high school these days. It's just, in particular, a little bit different. A lot of these guys probably were in the mode where the college coaches could be contacting them when they're in the, 8th or 9th grade, and they've been committed since they were, 14 years old. Now that's changed as well. I think, right, you can't make contact till they're juniors. Is that what I recall?
August of their junior year.
Junior year. Okay.
Yeah, I know we've got a kid in the 2025 or 25, 26 class next year. He's been committed since 8th grade. I'm not going to bring recruiting violations, but we've seen a kid that is no longer the norm by any stretch.
Right.
Yeah, I think that there's, to your point, that it's going to be harder for position players to make an impact, but I think pitchers, there's always a need for arms. So I think that if you're,
Absolutely.
I mean, hell, look at Zane Adams. He was obviously on somebody's board. He could pitch, and hell, he made a huge difference last year. He
Absolutely
on the Cape this year. So, not that these guys, I don't think can't or won't contribute at all. I think some of them will for sure.
Right.
But it's definitely harder to break in as a position player. I mean, obviously, you're going to have your exceptions like Bronny that are just absolute studs. But that is by no means the norm, at least in my opinion.
Megan, who's your of the incoming freshmen? Who you got your eyes on?
I mean, I guess name wise, I've heard more about like the local kids, especially like the North Alabama boys.
Right.
I think it goes to the point of like we'll see if and where they can contribute, but like especially pitching wise, I think they're gonna have plenty of chances in the fall to show why they deserve the chance to get to show.
Drew, who's your pick?
Without ever having seen any video at bats from any of these guys, I think I'm going to make a gut prediction that either Griggs or John Young Jr. becomes like an everyday player at one of the third base or second base positions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like those are guys that they come in with a pretty good pedigree, like Roger said, and I know we have some transfers coming in the infield, but I think that those guys have played college ball, but they haven't played in the SEC, so it's kind of I think it probably be an open competition, but those guys. But I think, to be honest, I'm really more excited about the JUCO transfers in the outfield. So we'll see what happens.
Roger, you've laid eyes on a few of these guys probably by now, but workouts or some individual workouts. What anybody catch your eyes?
Pitching wise, Lehman and Ketchum seem like, and Jackson Hunter too. But hard to tell. Swinging wise, I've seen a few of those the infielders. Big swing really looks good. No, lefty back.
Another lefty. That was the thing we mentioned. We secured some righty bats out of the portal, and a lot of these guys are lefty bats, but I mean, I think we got a few righties in there. But I think you probably won't see another Rob Vaughn team as lefty bat heavy as this past one.
Definitely, as well as going for defense speed, they were also going after some right-handed. Knew they had to have some more right-handed bats.
Yeah. All right. So very excited about that class. I mean, I think it is, especially given that most of them made it here. I mean, Carter Johnson obviously didn't, and a couple of the JUCO signees didn't, but of the freshmen, they're most of them are here. I mean, you saw a lot of high school guys picked, as you always do. But any number of these guys could have showed up on a draft list somewhere on the back end of that draft, but didn't. So glad to have them at Alabama. Quick, they go get oriented and start going to class early mid-August, and then fall starts around 1st of September, thereabout mid-September.
Pretty close to October. Officially, I mean, they start when they get here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it was around the 1st of October last year, Megan. Is that right?
Sounds right.
Yeah. It's 35 days, and it's like what, October 26th that we go to Florida State.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
guess I guess a month. So the end of September,
Mhm.
45
probably we're looking like.
days to do 30 practices.
30 practices. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, glad you mentioned that. That was something I had on here. Florida State, we go there for a Saturday scrimmage. If you're not familiar with these, what they do is they get together. Typically it's like 14 innings. You'll play 7 with your first line guys. You'll kind of reset the game, give them a break, switch out teams. It's one continuous game, or maybe they break it up. Depending on, I've seen it both ways. Last year we did this with Florida State. We also did it with Auburn. We mopped the floor with Auburn that day or that night, but and then kind of split the two with FSU. But we'll go there noon Eastern on 10/26. That is the weekend of which home football game?
Missouri.
And then obviously we'll probably host one of those. I hadn't heard yet. Roger, any intel on that? Anybody know?
I've heard Clemson's name come up.
Okay.
I don't know anything about dates or anything, and
Yeah.
and that might just be a rumor, but I would hope and assume it would be at home. But
Mhm.
I hate that the game is the same day as the home Missouri football game.
Yeah.
That's homecoming too.
Yeah, so it's a crazy
That's-
weekend. Yeah.
You're gonna have
Yeah.
you're gonna bump into things occasionally, but
Right. Yeah.
plays on. Just I guess you couldn't find one where we were either both on the road or had off week at the same time.
Right. We did last year we did a Friday night at home before a home football game. Then we did a Saturday afternoon in a bye weekend. So it was ideal last year, really, the way the two panned out. All right, so great going in the fall. Again, those are the newcomers. Guys coming back. Who are you most excited about? Second year in the program or third year in the program, or give me a name, Drew. Who do you think is going to make the biggest leap of guys coming back?
I'm gonna go to the mound and look at give me a couple guys. I think Heiberger can have a really big year, and if Tyler Fay can keep up what he did in the Cape this year, I'm wondering if he's even got a chance to be in the starting rotation. So he was a guy that I think Fay would be my number one answer here. It'll be a draft year for him. It's a chance to have a big breakout year and make him some money. So he disappeared at the end of last year. Just after that grand slam he gave up to Caden Sorrell in that game 1 of Texas A&M, it just mostly fell apart for him. But it looks like he figured things back up in the Cape, and guys are allowed to get better. So I think he's going to have a big year for us.
Innings started piling up a little bit on him. It's kind of like I talked about in maybe our last podcast. It looked like some of those arms were really tired. Greg was running out of gas down the end of the year. I think that might have happened to Tyler a little bit. The control got off. You're tired. Your mechanics fall off, and that's. But I'm like you. I look for a big leap from him. Meghan, who's your leaper?
I mean, the return of Riley Quick, a healthy Riley Quick. I mean, obviously, Zane Adams, of course. And I'd love to see Moza come back to what we know he can do.
Right. Griff, who you got?
As far as the offense goes, I'm so excited to see more Justin LeBron. I mean, he was stellar last year. I don't put expectations on him, but I expect to just see a lot more consistency out of his play this upcoming season. I mean, he's just so much fun to watch, for sure. And I think as far as pitching goes, a guy we didn't see last year due to injury, Bobby Alcock. I really hope that he is 100%. It sounds like from the things that I'd like to think are being heard right now that it's 100%. And he can finally show what he's got on the mound. So two guys that were with the program last year for sure.
Yep. Who's our biggest leaper? Roger, who you got?
No, I'm a Brian guy, but I'm 350 with 18 to 20 bombs and maybe 20 back.
Yeah.
Coleman Mizell.
That was gonna be mine. All right.
I'm a big bull guy, of course. Well, Hunter's calling bull, right? And
Hunter don't like the nicknames. Don't like when we talk nicknames. Okay, this is an inside joke, everybody. But Hunter in here tonight, but he hates all the nicknames because he doesn't know them or something. I don't know what it is.
and on the mound, Heiberger and Fay, and really what everybody said, Riley,
Mhm.
Heiberger, Fay, Riley be healthy. We know what he can do. We saw flashes of what the two youngsters could do last year, and going piggybacking off of Meghan, Moza is so much better than he showed. I mean, we saw it at UAB when he shoved us against us as a freshman.
96 as a freshman. Yeah.
Last year, toward the at the end of the year when 2023 man last year, when he was set up for AD. That was a good shutdown combo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that probably that talking about regulars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hodo and Bronny, and then Kay had some back issues all summer, all late last season, and then
season.
pitching wise and hitting wise. So, and Will's going to be in a battle, so it's kind of like much like last year when Mac was only returning starter.
Yeah,
but Bronny very, very likely could be the only returning starter.
Nothing returning. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'll give you. I think I covered everybody on that. I'll give you the actual answer here, and as I'm trying to pop my other drink here, is Bull. I'm going with Bull. I think he's going to make a big leap. I mean, I could see him being like you said, 15, 20 home run guy, hitting third in the lineup, maybe securing left field or right. I mean, depending on where they put him, DH in some or whatever. I think Coleman's going to have a big year. I think another year, getting the body right in the weight room, and the kid's just strong as an ox. The other thing about him, he can run like a damn gazelle. I mean, that dude can run the bases. You saw some of that early in the year when he was getting some playing time, or you saw it in practice and in practice games. The dude can run. Great athlete. And I think he's going to make a big leap for us. The two on the pitching side, I'm looking at Ariston Veazey, who was going to his senior prom this time last year, right? and or could have been going to, and then Jansen Kenty. I think are two guys that you didn't see, but I mean, you really saw Ariston through those two batters, and and has had a pretty good run up in is that the Cal Ripken League? Is that the one up in Bethesda where they're up there?
Yep.
And then Jansen, the same thing. I think we saw some good, decent innings out of him as well. I think both of those guys, just the experience of the, year of practice, a year in the system, a year under college tutelage, I think those two make a big leap. That may be just me, but those are my three.
I got one to add too, based on Jonathan Stevens.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was shut down, and even got the call up to the Cape.
Yep, sure did. Yeah, played with so he was, I believe, with the team in Bethesda, our big train, as we've called him, because we've had a lot of guys play for the Bethesda big train over the years. They won their league probably late last week, and next thing we know, Jono's up at the Cape, throwing some more. So obviously a guy who's made an impact. A lot of guys in summer leagues. I couldn't tell if it was as many as we've normally seen. Mizell was out in North Woods for a little bit.
Didn't seem like it to me.
Didn't either. Yeah.
We had a lot originally signed to rosters that didn't seem to be there very long, which I guess older guys in the field, a lot of them were draft guys, and then pitching wise, we need to shut them down. So
that's true. In fact, I mean, we were talking about Faye and even probably Zane even went an outing or two longer than we thought he might have at the Cape. Sam Mitchell, was playing up at in the Cal League. Will Plattner, Luke Vaughn, John O. Stevens, Tyler, and Zane were up at the Cape. Connor Ball, here's one Connor Ball, who was with the program last year, but not technically a redshirt, I guess. NECBL, which is kind of covers the area, north of the Cape, let's say north and west of the Cape, so very much in the New England area. maybe all-star team for that league, and has had a really good year. It might be another guy we think about being a contributor this year. We mentioned Ariston and he and Kenty and Maddie. They've all been playing. Slip and Swinney, both guys are moving on, but have had good summers where they've been. So good. I'm like you. I think we saw less. I think we saw fewer guys playing on summer teams, but we also saw guys playing short stints and then getting their way home, which probably is good. I mean, the summer leagues are great, but I mean, they got a fall season, they got a spring season that goes from middle of January to early June. I mean, it's some point you need a break, especially these arms, and so maybe we're not going to see as many of these guys, and especially as segue to the new rules. As you get into the point where you've got a 34-man roster, do you really want a bunch of those guys off playing again for 2 months and somewhere in kind of meaningless ball off in the summer, because it's going to be a lot more work on them. The segue I'm pointing out is the new NCAA rules, or the rules that came out relative to scholarships. And again, this is all associated with this big settlement. The big case in the names. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Tell me the
just like the club committee settlement.
Yeah. I can't remember the name that they were using associated with it. Probably whoever the main plaintiff was. But ultimately, what's going to happen starting in 2025? So not this season, but next, right? College teams will be allowed to provide 34 full scholarships. No more of this 11.7 spread over 25 guys with a minimum of a quarter each, or whatever the ridiculous rules was. Or now you can go up to 34 scholarships, and this is going to apply across college baseball. Great for Alabama. What do you think? I mean, is that great for a program like in Alabama? What are your thoughts on?
I keep looking for the other shoe to drop.
The downside, yeah.
Like you hear it and think, wow, that's fantastic. And then okay, things sound too good to be true. Like a lot of times, so the downside is, and we don't know this for sure yet because they still have to vote and pass it through the leagues. But hard 34.
Yeah.
Which now everybody believes that you have to say now, August. Here's my 30. And then you're going 30 practices, and then 30, 20 practices in January, and you hurt 3 arms, and you have a guy break an ankle sliding into third base. Got 30 guys. And instead of 18 pitchers, you have 15. I mean, so that is and it's already such a tough sport to put together, and because the portal, the draft, who signs,
very compact calendar.
What do you do with your high school guy? And I'm hearing coaches around the country saying that they're kind of putting a hold on 25 and 26 right now, because you can't bring in 45, 50, 60
no.
and let them duke it out in the fall and see who gets it. Or will they say, okay, you can bring in 40, but you can only leave with 34. And 6 kids that came in for a semester of college, and then what do they do?
Yeah, kind of cruel.
Yeah. I mean, younger guys can go to JUCO, of course, but if they can find one, because they're going to be so jammed. Of course, we were doing 35 up until, right after COVID. The rosters were 5 anyway, so it's not that huge of a change there. It's just like you get used to 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe unlimited the one year, and then 40, and then so 40 again this year. So it just makes I stand by that. Coaching college baseball is the toughest sport. Because of all the things like the draft and the portal, and just everything involved with it. So it makes a hard job even harder.
Drew, what were your thoughts on, Drew? You got
pretty
miss.
much that. Yeah, you can't miss. But I mean, I'm going to assume that Alabama will give out 34 baseball
Funded, yeah,
scholarships, but
right.
it's just
because you don't have to, right? You can.
I mean, what do you do? It's like, all right, so you have a guy who is a freshman All-American pitcher. Last game of the regional, he pops a UCL.
Yep.
He can't pitch for you next year, just a sophomore year. Kind of like a Riley Quick situation. If Riley had gotten hurt the summer
later.
before, what do you do? Do you put that guy on a scholarship? I mean, it's just, it's a tough deal because you don't want to just start at 33. So I don't. There's positives and negatives. It's just a tough call with the injuries and stuff because I think some kids are going to be told you don't have a scholarship as late as August.
Already being told that this year.
Yeah. Megan, go ahead, Roger.
Like that on medical, they can't play for you again.
Right.
Yeah.
Have to transfer. Antoine Jean
Antoine John, yeah, that's right. Megan
helped him out, kept him in school so he could afford to go to school and get away from trainers and doctors. But knowing that if he didn't get drafted, which he didn't, that he'll have to go somewhere else if he wanted to play again.
Yeah. Megan, you follow this stuff too. I mean, Title IX. I mean, this is somehow you got to balance all this, right? I mean, obviously, there's a whole new list of. I think I even read like fencing. They can give out 24 scholarships, but I guess you got to give out a lot of fencing scholarships because people get killed with but how do you? I mean, you follow probably more than us every sport on the campus a little more, and you follow the women's side a lot more too. I mean, how do you think you end up balancing? All of a sudden, you got to add 23 men's scholarships. Now you're going to add a handful for softball, not many, right? I mean, what's think of the Title IX impact? Speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that's what it comes down to is like, okay, this notion of, we want to be able to give 34, but we have to be able to find that balance. And we've been seeing that for decades, and this is really just going to continue to add to that problem. I mean, I don't know. Do we just give rowing another 20 scholarships to go recruit with? I mean,
Rowing gets
I don't know.
4 or something on that list.
Yeah.
They have like 70 now for rowing.
Wow.
That are available.
We have a black cat on the screen for bad luck. Griff, what
yeah, right. Ron Tanto's rolling in his grave somewhere at the side of a black cat right now. I'm kind of with Roger that there's still more unknowns than knowns at this point. I mean, I'm a lacrosse junkie, and men's and women's lacrosse are both going to have north of 40 scholarships starting 2025, which is crazy. I mean, knowing the sport, you never really going to play more than 25 guys probably in a given season anyways. So there's going to be a lot of guys playing the bench. So I think that there's, almost in the Coach Saban aspect that I don't want to jump the gun and say this is what we got to do because I don't think anyone really knows. Traditionally, the NCAA has always been slow to act in just about everything that they do. So if we decide that this is the new rule and this is the date, then I think folks can go from there. I don't think that it's going to be a hard 34 come August, depending on what some coaches may or may not say or how they feel. But we have a direction to go, but I don't think anyone knows exactly when we're going to get there or how we're going to get there still yet. So
I think for a school like Alabama, here's my thought on it. If we can give 34 full scholarships with as many guys as we have to bring in from out of state, because I mean there's just not the talent pool in Alabama. You can't just go out and you can't go find you 34 boys who bleed crimson and roll with it. Like, we kind of kid about some of the, the 3-star from Rimlap who bleeds crimson for the football team. No, you want to get the guy from California who's perfect game All-American. So we got a lot of out-of-state guys that come into Alabama, and look at the roster. I mean, look at where they're from, and there's not that many Alabama guys. We don't do the game where we give in-state tuition to out-of-state students, unless they're from some of those border areas. I mean, if you're from California, you're paying full freight, and we got to figure out a way to deal with it. So I think it's a big benefit to Alabama in that regard. Maybe it equalizes us. We've always made the joke about Vandy having 35 scholarships anyway. This this is a cut for Vandy because they had 35 before. And then there are the programs like maybe the Mississippi States and the Arkansas and some of those who do, waive out of state tuition, and you hear about that. And I don't know the facts on all of those. I may have misspoken on some, but some schools do that legitimately, and so we've always been at a disadvantage. We don't have the Hope Scholarship like a Georgia that defrays probably half of tuition or more for in-state residents if they.
I mean, we don't even have the Arkansas scholarship situation where basically any state that touches Arkansas can get tuition for an Arkansas. And
they can waive it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nuts. But to your point, I just did the rough math, and it's nearly 3/4 of the guys. I counted 32-ish of the 48 players are from out of state. So yeah, to your point, we don't have the talent pool, so we'll have to pull from New Jersey's hotbed of players and the kids that go from California to the IMGs, and we'll have to just go out of state to find the guys. Not typical. So
Arkansas includes Georgia and Florida in their
yeah.
They do too.
In their neighboring states.
It's 9 states for Arkansas versus like Mississippi. I know for Ole Miss and Mississippi State, it's the 4 states that surround them.
Borders. Yeah.
Arkansas, conveniently, all the biggest hotbeds of baseball talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. They all get in.
Yeah. So, Drew, what do you expect from? I mean, again, let's talk about the trickle down effect of this. Again, you got 48 players coming to Alabama in August reporting for camp. If this was next year, 14 of those guys got to find somewhere else to play. So we start trickling down. They go to all these places where we got transfers in from, and that's pushing down. And then the next level is pushing down. Where's the high school kid go in 2 years?
These coaches are going to have to make a decision if they want to sign 2 kids every fall and rely on the portal, or do they want to sign 10 kids in the fall and build up their roster? So, I mean, I'd love to see the development, but it's like if you want to be competitive,
I mean, that's an easy decision. Yeah.
Do you go poach this kid from Illinois or something like that with X amount? That's what a Texas A&M and an Arkansas are going to do. What does Alabama do? I don't know. I mean, you got to find the happy medium. That's going to be tough to do for baseball coaches. I mean, like you guys just said, it's such a tough deal.
Need a mixture, I think. And originally you hear that and you go, oh God, the mid majors are dead.
Yeah.
But saying no, look at it this way. Okay, we got 11.7. We can't do 34, but we can do 18 or we can do 20.
Yeah.
If we still have more because we can go out and fill our roster with half, 3/4 scholarships and that type of thing. So they're not as dead in the water as originally thought they were going to be.
Yep. All right.
JUCO,
so
unless more JUCOs pop up in baseball, you're going to have crowded places.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a question for you. I don't know what our number is how many were in that freshman class we went over. It was 13, 14. Let's just say it was 14. That's probably a typical year. We bring in 14 freshmen, maybe, right? Megan might be counting them for me. That'd be good. So if
my math is right, we have 13.
13. Okay. So 13 freshmen in 2024. If this goes in 2025, how many freshmen will we bring in 2026 and 2027? Give me over under in the weekly Joe tradition, over under 5.5.
I'm going to go.
Or go ahead, Drew.
I'm going to say we're going to sign more than that in the fall. How many we bring in? Because you're going to have someone get drafted every year. So, how many you bring in? I'm going to go slightly over.
Slightly over 5.5, Griff?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same vein of Drew. I think we sign closer to 7 or 8, and inevitably there's going to be guys that get drafted, or there's going to be somebody that heads off to Pearl River, Northwest Florida State, wherever you consider.
Sure.
I'll go over, but actually I'll say like right at 6 or 7. It'll be
6. Okay. All right. So a little bit over. Megan, you kind of the same.
Initially, my thought immediately went to 8.
8. Okay. All right. Roger, what do you think?
Over.
Over 8. Okay, I'll be the oddball. I'll be the weirdo. As we were hearing in politics. I'll go a little bit under 5.5. I think you probably you know because to me it's like you were. I think it was Drew talking about a minute ago. You're a coach and you got to decide. All right, am I going to bring in a freshman or am I going to bring in a guy with a year of eligibility or 2 years of eligibility that's gotten 250 at bats a year in mid-major in the MAC or in the the Mountain West or wherever the hell it might be. I mean, it feels like an easy decision to me, and every year, I mean, you look at even now with bringing these guys. Look at our roster turn. We got two everyday guys pretty much coming back, right? I mean, you're turning over your roster every year. You're used to this anyway. I just think that I think the freshmen are gonna, even the guys that are the all-state and all 7A in Alabama, all 6A in Alabama, a number of these guys on this list that we went through. JUCO to me ends up being a pretty viable option because I mean, academically, you're just going to take your core stuff. You come to Alabama, you're gonna be sitting behind a guy from Penn who's got 600 college at bats. You're probably not gonna get on the field. It's gonna be really hard. You're not gonna be happy getting 20 at bats your first year. Go to Mississippi and play at one of these 20 junior colleges, or Alabama. Go to Wallace or go to Dothan or to Hansville or wherever. Get those at bats and get noticed and then figure it out. I mean, I think it's 5.5. I probably should go a little bit higher, but I would not go much lower. I wouldn't go much higher, but I'd probably go a little bit lower, especially in those first couple of years of transition.
Yeah, I'd almost be interested to, obviously, Coach will probably never tell us, at least on the podcast. But love to almost hear his philosophy because obviously I love the mentality of building the wolf pack and getting the guys that he wants in. But I also understand to a certain extent it's got to be exhausting if you got to just work the portal every year. And I got to even have with recruiting, but it's like if you can get, I mean, hell, some of the main guys that we're getting back, both Zane Adams and Justin LeBron, they're both young guys that are going to be back for their sophomore year. So if you can build those cornerstone pieces, and I think going back to the draft, it's like, or the transferring out anyways. When those two guys announced that those cornerstones were coming back, to me it felt like, okay, this is something that we can build off of. So maybe you get a couple of those guys that can convince, help with recruiting visits and whatnot when kids are on campus and get the quality guys. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. It'll be a mix, but we'll see.
Roger go ahead. Yeah.
I've sent that. You can speak on it.
Yeah, so Roger just sent around the guys on the Perfect Game website that have committed to Alabama for this will be the 25 season. I can go through this list and tell you based on the hype I see some of these guys getting already at these big national showcases and guys that are topping 90 off the mound. 1, 2, 3. So there's 16 on this list. Is that what I counted?
15.
Yep. 15. I count at least 4 or 5 of those guys that are probably draft potential, right?
First 4 names.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then there's also a kid that's he played in the Polynesian high school.
One of them who plays about half a mile down this hill. So I'll give you that from me.
What place I have up the hill from me.
So again, I think we got to discount them. But if you took those 15 and then you struck those probably 5, I mean, you're 10 or so. I mean, again, and we're not kidding. I mean, some of these guys are legitimately going to be, high draft picks or go in the first 20 rounds and sign somewhere, obviously. And obviously these guys were all in the works for 25 before any of this came in play. So it's the next class that really gets right. Go ahead, Roger.
Second part of that list, the Luke Reiser kid.
Yeah.
He's going to Minnesota to play football and baseball.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was a punter. Wasn't he a punter?
Said he was going to be a two-way guy here.
Yeah.
So we work out with Coach DeBoer, but it didn't work really very often with Coach Saban.
No, he ain't going to share anybody. He's a punter too, right? Any punter?
I don't know.
Mhm.
Now punter, that's one that I think could easily
Yeah.
move up. But
Looking at our Tyrell Shavers and your Keith Holcombs, the guys that are position players, I don't know if we'll get a lot of them.
Who's our backup quarterback now? There's the one,
hey, Drake Lonergan.
yeah,
Dylan Lonergan.
Dylan Lonergan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another one.
Dylan Lonergan.
Dylan Lonergan. Yeah. So, so I think that, again, the trickle down effect of this is how many do the mid majors fund? How many do the D2s fund? How many, how many slots open up? And again, I've seen it. I mean, we've seen it tweeted out by some people, kind of sage advice for these guys. Go where you're comfortable, go where you can play. Whether it's D2 or D3. Now you look at these portal entrants and some of these, I mean, hell, we got a guy coming in from Penn. We've had a guy come in from Harvard. We got them come in from everywhere. Hell, the team that probably is going to win the national championship last year has used Penn as their farm club, their Ivy League, A&M, right? I mean, it's go get your reps, get your at bats, play, get your live reps and at bats. I think that's the advice I'd give as my kid. I'd be telling them, go somewhere you're comfortable. You can get on the field because the game's going to be, I mean, this transforms everything about the game and everything about rosters. My biggest concern, kind of going back to like what you all said, is just the fall. And if you're 30 practices or 25 practices or whatever it is, and then you start in January, I mean, and then you guys get dead arms and you got to shelf them for a little while. You need more guys around. I mean, right? 30 in the spring, maybe it's not so bad, but that fall, when you're trying to kind of sort out what you got, figure out how you're gonna look in the spring, you really feels like you need more guys, and hopefully they address that. Even if they just let you have a practice squad or something like that, it would
I think you're on maybe see more two-way guys.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
Almost have to. And there's been some pretty successful ones here lately too. So
that's right. Yep.
Right. We did it with Cade somewhat this past year.
Right. Yeah.
Started back, but that never did go. We haven't done it a lot. But Brandon Belcher back in 2004, 5, and 6, and a few of those guys. But for the most part, we haven't. And, we may have to start doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to have arms.
You got to, yeah. And if you look at this list, you go back to that 2025 class, 3 or 4 of those guys, and particularly those guys we talked about that probably aren't coming to campus, are legitimate two-way guys in college. I mean, obviously the pros aren't going to necessarily make them that, but guys that are already throwing 90 something off the mound and the ball's jumping off their bat, 105. So I think you'll see a lot more of that. I think you'll just about have to. We've had guy Dylan Ray. I think about a guy like that. That kid could just flat rake in high school, and I mean all these guys. If they,
we had him hitting his fall freshman before he was hitting, and he was
It's good. Yeah. So, all right, it bears watching. We got a year to plot and plan for that, but we just kind of planting the bug in everyone's ear. We'll talk about that a lot as the season progresses. All right, and finally, and we'll wrap this up. All right, the SEC. Who's Tennessee won the season? Who's won the offseason? Meghan, who you got? Who won the offseason? And who do you project? 2 things. Who won the offseason? Who do you project winning the league next year?
I mean, I think it's A&M on both, as much as I want to go up and say it's going to be us that wins everything.
Yeah. Again, a coaching change. That team went from probably the worst doldrums you could possibly experience. You lose, the national title game. You lose the final of the College World Series to a conference rival. Pretty excruciating fashion. I mean, they came back and could have easily won. It was a 1-run game, right? Your head coach bails the next day, right? Was it literally the next day to your hated arch rival who's joining your conference? By the way, they're going to wave that in your face. Half your team goes in the portal. all of them come back from the portal, and you've even got probably your guy that was probably your best arm on the team last year gets drafted, but is going to come back anyway. Yeah, hard to argue that. Griff, you got anybody else? I mean, give me somebody else, anybody but A&M who had a really great offseason and who you might think could compete with them in the.
I mean, it's hard not to look at LSU as another team that had a good offseason of just pulling guys in. It was a lot of guys that Alabama was watching, and I know in our group chat and in the Discord, it's, I think we can get this guy, and you feel good, and then all of a sudden, 48 hours later, it's like,
there he goes.
Off to LSU. So I think that they both had really good off seasons. I think, although we haven't talked a lot about them because they are a new school, I think Oklahoma's going to be pretty good next year. They made noise this year. I don't know. As with football, they'll probably have a rude awakening most weekends. Some weekends we'll see. But I think to contend, I think it's definitely going to be A&M. A&M and LSU are probably at the top of that list again.
Drew, who you got on those two?
I think a team that had a really good offseason and got some guys that I think we were after and did really well keeping a lot of their really good high school players, and a team that will be hell on wheels next year, whether we want to admit it or not, is Auburn.
Yep.
They had a really good offseason. So
great recruiting class and pulled a lot of good talent out of the portal.
They're due for a good year. Usually they kind of alternate these good and bad years. So I don't think they'll be down for too long. Hopefully maybe they'll be good and go 2-0 in their own regional like they did last year, or when last time they hosted one.
Don't sleep on Butch Thompson. I mean, Butch Thompson is a top 3, 4, 5 coach in this league, and has built a really good program down there. Last year just didn't have the arm. I mean, they had an arm talent. I don't know what the hell was wrong with it. It just didn't gel. Had some injuries and all, but a lot of guys back. The Ike Irishes of the world, who's as good as anyone in the league. What's his name? Say his name for Bayou. That guy can rake. He's back. All right. So Roger, who you got? Who won aside from A&M? Who kind of won the off season? Who's your team that?
Well, I mean, A&M is, that probably pretty cut and dried, really. And then the usual suspects: LSU, Tennessee. I'm sure. I mean, they lost tons, but they loaded. Got some portal guys. They got some guys back. Georgia hit the portal really hard.
They did. They really. That's who I was going to say.
I don't know. How much. If they can get as good of it as they worked it really well last year too. And had a generational player, and that fell into their lap as a walk-on. So but they really need arms.
Yeah, you talked to Brock, and he's told you that, right? They probably are. Yeah.
So they're one. I think people are high on Florida. They lost some guys too, though. I mean, get back help. Caglione, Fisher goes to Auburn. So just basically the usual suspects. Arkansas did. Sure. Arkansas did well.
Yeah. You forget about Arkansas because you think about it. All the teams that have won natties in baseball. You go through that whole list. It's pretty much all the real power programs, and Arkansas hasn't. But for a drop foul ball in 2018. But you just forget how consistently good that team is. I mean, you just forget about them, right? I mean, I'm like you. I mean, we're talking about all these. We didn't even mention them. And the other thing I'd bring up probably is I'm real interested to see Texas under Schloss, because I saw A&M under Schloss his first year, and I saw the transformation of that program to an immediate contender. Then had a down year, and then was a run away from being in position to win the Natty. The other thing I'm interested to see is South Carolina and Palmineri back in the league at Carolina with not a bad program. I mean, I think they were just tired of seeing. Probably the worst thing that happened to South Carolina was Georgia this year doing what Georgia did out of nowhere. I agree with you on Georgia. That program, I think, is built to last. I think it's going to stay. I think we're built to last. I mean, I think we're, again, we're 13-17 out of the gate with a new coach, new program, competitive. I mean, ask Tennessee how competitive we were. By the way, they played 17, 18 weekends last season, and they only got knocked 2 out of 3 by one team. That was us, right? Mississippi State, I look for them. Kentucky, I look to maybe take a step back. I don't know about y'all. I think I think maybe that was a little bit of lightning in the bottle this year. I don't expect them to go away, but I think a step back. And I agree with you on Auburn. I mean, I think Auburn is really loaded up, young guys and then portal wise. Go ahead, Roger.
Well, and you said State. I think State did well in the portal too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the last thing we'll touch on again, we got somebody mentioned Oklahoma. Griff, you mentioned Oklahoma. We got Oklahoma. We got Texas. 30-game season. Give me your over/under on wins next season in the SEC for Oklahoma. I'll go give you 13.5. Oklahoma. Roger.
I didn't know in the schedule, not even knowing who's playing.
We don't know who they're playing, but yeah, but just assume they're all good, right?
I'll say under.
Under. Drew.
Yeah, I'll go on. I know nothing about Oklahoma, but it's such a tough league. I'll go under here.
At least he admits it. Griff.
I'll probably go under. I'm pulling up I'm pretty sure they've got Texas, and I want to say, let's see, Oklahoma's got Texas and Missouri as their permanent SEC alternates, and then Texas has A&M and Oklahoma. No shot over there.
All right, Megan, on that one.
I'll echo the group. I think under.
Go under. Okay. I think the answer is under because it's a transition year into the league. It's a lot to get used to. I mean, the Big 12 is a good league, but I don't think what the SEC was. Let's do the same exercise with Texas, who's probably I don't know. I'd probably let's go 12.5 Texas. Roger.
12.5. I'll say over.
Over. Drew.
Yeah, I'll say over.
Over. All right, Griff.
I'll say over. I'm not very convinced right now. I mean, they were they were limping all season. I just don't.
Mm-hmm. All right, Megan. Yep, go ahead.
I'm gonna go over. I think that new head coach has proven he can do some stuff with a first-year team pretty well.
All right, I'm gonna go under with them, and I just again,
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I think the transition to having to go. I got to go play 3 at Auburn. I got to go play 3 at Kentucky versus 3 at Baylor. Is a big adjustment. They'll have their good years. I mean, again, I think this transition year is always difficult. You see it in football, you see it in basketball, you see it in all these other sports. I think baseball probably even more so than others. I think you're going to see it. I mean, frankly, I think Texas in football is going to be right there. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas in the championship game against Georgia or us in football, but I just see it as a little more of a challenge in baseball.
I was going to throw out my one thought, Paul, was do you think that there's anyone under more pressure right now to have a team that wins next year than Mike Bianco at Ole Miss? I mean, his seat is just, to me, seems scorching hot right now.
Yeah. Any year that people have to come out the week after you get eliminated from whatever you get eliminated from and say yes, you will be back. I mean, that means there was a question as to whether or not you would be back, and they're having to validate that. So, and I totally agree. And I look around the rest of the conference. I don't see anyone under that kind of heat. I mean, even Butch Thompson with a bad year last year, it's going to be better this year. Rob's still in the honeymoon. You're right. I mean, Rob's doing all the right things here. Georgia had a great year. I mean, it was just a smidge away from going to Omaha. Maneri's
Jackson at Missouri, obviously, in my opinion, he had no expectation. Missouri's hasn't been good since Max Scherzer was there nearly 20 years ago.
I think you're right. I think you got to keep your eye over there and see, because that another year at 10-20, or God forbid, like they were so bad the year before last. So they were 5-25 or 6-24 was bad. Yeah, you do that again, it's bad. I think the worst thing that can happen to him is he goes, 12-18 or 13-17, and it's kind of on the fence, and he's just kind of hanging out there. I don't feel like they did a lot portal wise. I don't. I mean, I just don't. I don't see where that team's going to make a big leap one way or the other. So I don't know what turns it around or makes it, makes it to where he's back on real solid footing there. But anyway, we'll see. Anything else we miss? Anything I'll bring up? I think the whole thing was a good to catch up with everybody. Good to cover all the comings and goings in the off season, and we will do this again soon. I think we'll as we get we got a shameless promotion. We're going to start back the Days of Misery series for the football losses. We're actually going to do that tomorrow night on Twitter Spaces. So by the time this is released, it'll probably be tonight on Twitter Spaces. We're going to do the last 4 of those, and maybe a football preseason show, and we'll get those loaded up on podcasts. Look for that from my personal Twitter account, not the Weekly Joe account. But if you're new to Alabama sports, some of you baseball folks and baseball parents, and weren't around 2 years ago when we were doing those, I think those will be a lot of fun. We talk about the Alabama losses of the Saban era, which there weren't many, but we did 20 of these 2 years ago, and so we're going to do one again tomorrow night and take that into the summer. So we'll probably take a few weeks off, wait and see how things develop, and then as we get into the fall, we'll start this back up again. How about that? You all good for that? All right, good. All right. We're gonna let Peter Slight and at Campland take us away with the Joe, the tribute to the Weekly Joe podcast. And as you listen to those beautiful melodies, we will take you away, and we will see you next time on the Weekly Joe. Thanks for joining in.
Roll Tide.
All right. Good night.
Well done.
No time.
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama Blitz.